Hello again, Jeremy Arney, Interim Leader of the Canadian Action Party. And this time round I'm going to talk to you about refugees, ISIL, the mess in the Middle East. We've been approached by schools asking us what we're going to do about refugees and could we increase our immigration levels. Well, this is a big subject right now. Everybody wants to do the best thing. So what is the best thing? The best thing is not to create a situation like that in the first place, right? But we are now a warmongering country. Should we not have known 18 months ago when we started getting involved in this that there would be refugees, that we would have to do something about it? Now suddenly it's become a big deal because refugees are busting all over the borders in Europe, and we are being asked, and the government particularly is being asked, what are you doing about it? Well, yeah, they promise they'll bring in, 25,000? I mean, who knows? There's supposed to have been 2,000 last year when they finished up with what, just over 100? So you can't take anything that this government says at face value. We've known that since 2006, when someone said, you won't recognize Canada when I'm through with it. Well, we don't. It's all part of democracy. It's all part of diplomacy. Diplomacy, foreign affairs, and trade. Why have they been lumped together? There's no logical reason for that at all. But hang on a second. If you do that, you can cut down half the employees, which means firing people, part of the austerity program. But to get back to refugees, to get back to the ISIL, are we doing the best thing we possibly can by going over there and taking sides? Which side are we actually on? Are we supporting the president of Syria? Are we supporting the insurgents who are CIA sponsors, from the best of my knowledge? Or are we supporting people who are religious extremists and are financed by Western powers? Where do they get their arms from? Where do they get their money from? Similar situation to Libya. Where did the terrorists, the insurgents, and the mercenary armies get their money from? In that case, it was the IMF. So are they doing the same thing there? Who knows? But the point here is, we should have known when we got involved in this that there would be this situation arising. What have we done to prepare for it? Have we built housing to prepare for bringing these people in? The 25,000 we're going to bring in, what are we going to do with them? We're going to dump them in the streets and the parks in Ontario and give them tents? Are we going to put them on the shores of Nova Scotia? Are we going to put them on Long Beach on Vancouver Island with a tent? Winter's coming in Canada. We need to have a plan. Not a plan developed today, but a plan developed 6, 8, 9, 10 months ago. Something where we knew this kind of thing was going to happen. But there's no concept at all about how to deal with it. So, yes, I'm all in favor of helping out, but I'm more in favor of talking to all the other countries to try and stop this absurd situation from being there. Diplomacy is when you talk to people. It's not when you point a gun at them. It's not when you point aircraft at them. It's not when you point ships at them. Incidentally, my understanding is that 90% of our ships don't have engines that'll take them across either the Pacific or the Atlantic Ocean. So what kind of a navy do we have now? The whole situation is absolutely futile. And it boils down to one very simple thing. We have fallen into the point where we are now trying to attack everyone, including, of all people, Russia. We should be talking to Russia. We have so much in common with them. We share the Arctic with them. And what are we doing? We're telling them to get out of Ukraine. Well, are they actually in Ukraine? Or is this just something else that's been fed to us? And it's like the lie that gets repeated so many times, it is eventually taken to be the truth. Who knows? From my point of view, yes, we should be bringing in refugees. There is one good thing here. I understand that there were a whole bunch of detention camps all the way around the country. Could those be used for the refugees? And could it be that when they've been settled there and oriented into the Canadian way of life, they could be given homesteads to farm and create a living for themselves across this vast country where 90% of our population is down by the border, and the rest of it is basically lived in by the wonderful First Nations and Métis and Inuit, and they don't occupy it all. So, thought for the day. What do we really do about the refugees? What do we really do about our own refugees within this country who are living in third world conditions, boiled water advisories, 18 people per room per house. Doesn't make sense. We really have to think this whole concept of Canada and humanity all over again and get back to the point where we must realize too that we are visitors on this land. It's not ours. It belongs to the Creator. One final thing on the kneecaps. Isn't this a giant red herring? Isn't this a religious deal? Isn't this yet another example of attacking one religion or another? We all have the right in Canada to worship whatever God we want. I'm certainly not going to argue with that, nor is anyone in the Canadian Action Party. You have the right to your God, to believe in your God. I have the right not to believe in any God, should that be my choice. Wearing of a kneecap, is that any different from wearing a hoodie or wearing a hat in the house while you're eating dinner? It's a matter of personal preference, or is it? These are the sort of questions we should be asking ourselves and not allowing this kneecap issue to be red herring, which I really believe it is. Thank you.